Listening to Bad Horsey, man.
Oh my God, yeah, baby.
Dude, I just gotten back into listening to it. Can you hear it pretty well?
Not great, but I can hear it. Yeah. I mean, I know. I mean, the song's. I mean, badass.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's
You've been getting into listen to it again?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, great song.
I what's so funny to me too is like how he like moves around. He's messing around. You know
He's
what I mean?
weird. I mean, yeah, he's kind of strange. I mean, he has silver face.
He's got to be down tuned, right?
I think so. Yeah.
And this is one of the few instrumentals that that Max likes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he really likes it. Yeah,
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a cool song.
and again, using the slide,
Yeah.
and I guess he has like a magnet on the back of the head.
Yeah, so they
Slide.
can put the slide back on.
Right. I mean, and I think what got Max's attention too was how vocal the lead sounds, if that makes sense.
How what?
Vocal, like singing, like it's a singing lead.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
I think a lot of Steve Vai stuff is like that.
No, I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, no, I know what he means. He means like it's a melody or something.
Yeah, it's like basically you're hearing, a lead vocal,
Yeah.
but there's no lyrics.
Mhm.
It's just, the sound of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
No, that's awesome. No, I always love that song.
yeah, I was
one of my
when you
favorites.
showed that to me, that one, and when you showed me "Killing in the Name of."
Killing in the name of.
Which I had probably heard before, but
Mhm.
when I really sat down, actually, another one would be "Nutshell."
Face the path of time.
Oh yeah,
For
yeah,
Alice in Chains. Like there's some where I'm just like, shit, dude.
yeah. I know.
Thank you. You know what I mean? Like, wow,
I know,
this is
dude.
awesome.
I'm like a fucking genius. I know.
No, but
I
you know
know.
what I mean? Like, it's just
Mhm.
like that was fucking good, man.
I know.
Like there's just some songs that grab you. There's others where you got to take time.
Yes, exactly.
But
But no, it's a great segue because I was going to actually talk about music in this last segment we have here,
sure.
or as part of it. My one of my first topics I wanted to bring up was I don't know if you know Pantera is back on tour.
They are.
Yes, so it's the original singer and the original bassist, right?
Right.
But this is what I wanted to bring up to you and hear your opinion on. At what point can you still call it Pantera, right? I mean, the drummer died and Dimebag Darrell died. So it's just the lead singer and the original bassist, but the drummer and guitar player are not the original people. What I wanted to pose to you is a question like, geez, I don't know. At a certain point, can you even still call yourself Pantera? You know what I mean? Because I don't know. It's a weird thing. And a lot of bands do it now. I mean, even like 80s hair metal bands and stuff will have 50% or sometimes even less of the original band, but then go out on tour and say, hey, we're Journey. Hey, we're Pantera. Hey, whatever.
Well, and I will say the first band besides Pantera that I've had an opinion on this, I guess you could say, that comes to mind is Boston.
Yeah. I don't think there's any original members.
I think it's and now to be fair to him, he really was the mastermind behind that first
Tom
album.
Schultz.
Yes, behind that first album,
Mm-hmm.
he was the mastermind.
Of course,
Okay?
yeah.
I mean, he
No doubt.
literally played all the instruments pretty much, literally
Mhm.
even the keyboard and the organs,
know.
except for the
I think
drums.
bass
So
too.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, he had some really good bass lines. Rick Beato does a couple really
Oh,
good
yeah.
videos.
Oh, I know it very well. Yeah.
And I would recommend that to anybody listening.
Mhm.
I mean, he breaks it down in such a fun way, whether if and you know, I'm not saying I'm an expert on music theory, but
Yeah.
in a way where it's fun
Yes.
to
Exactly.
a casual listener, but also just, you know, you actually he will mention things that are more technical about
Exactly.
the aspects
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
creation of the
Yeah.
music and how it's structured and all that. He Rick Beato finds a really good balance there.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's just amazing to me always the isolated tracks he has.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't
It's
know how he
crazy.
gets those.
But to go back to Boston, you know, I mean, that one would be one where I'd say, well, he was the mastermind, you know, Tom Schultz, and they also went through tragedy, unfortunately, with
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
with the
Yeah.
singer, which
Mhm.
I mean, his voice was amazing.
Yes, his voice.
I mean,
Yeah, his
my
voice.
God,
Technically
you know,
speaking, yeah, high.
yeah,
Very.
my father said that he saw them at least once or twice live, and it was
Did he
like,
really?
yeah,
See, that's what with Boston. The video and audio of them playing live is very rare and far and few between
Yeah,
to find on
yeah.
YouTube. So it's like I've never got a real sense of if they were that good live or not. I've seen some bootleg concerts and they sound, you know, depending on the era of time and who's actually playing with them and stuff, they can sound pretty good, but it's like weird. You never really know what era of time, and it's always bootlegs and stuff.
Yeah, I know some bands just didn't have that infrastructure around them for
Exactly.
the live recordings. Other
Exactly.
bands, it's like they make damn documentaries
Oh, exactly. I
around
mean,
like a
I think of right away Dream Theater has like a new live album every year.
or like like
Rush.
song or even Rush. Yeah, there's a lot of production with that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that feeds into the fan base.
Well, that's why they
for
do
them.
it.
Or even like Led Zeppelin. I mean, this what is it? The song Remains the Same.
Yes.
Which is a song of theirs.
Yes.
But also it's like almost like a music video documentary / concert.
Yes.
Thing. It's like a big of you know, this mashup.
Is that the one where he does Stairway?
Oh, where he adds like the extra notes.
Oh, I hate that stuff. Where he goes, we all remember laughter or whatever.
Where oh my God.
In Stairway to Heaven.
And the forests will echo his laughter. Does anybody remember laughter?
I actually will say some of the stuff that Jimmy Page adds is kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But the transition, I will always, I mean, it's kind of hard to listen to, I guess, as a musician. I'm not trying to say I'm like better than now.
No, I know. I got you.
As a musician, you know, I think I got a good sense of rhythm. And the part where they transition into the,
you mean, I know it's horrible, right? It's not good.
And Jimmy Page,
it's not good,
and John Bonham do not lock in.
Yeah, it's just not. It doesn't work.
Lock in, and I mean, you can tell it's Jimmy Page's. I think it's Jimmy Page's fault, actually.
Probably. It seems like it seems always like John Paul Jones are always on key. I mean, always like in time and on key.
John Paul Jones is the backbone that nobody talks about.
Well, also, Jesus Christ, I can't think of his name. It's crazy. John Bonham. Yeah, John Bonham always seemed to be. It always felt like to me the weak links live, unfortunately, were Jimmy Page and Robert Plant. I know it sounds weird.
I think I would agree with that because
Yeah.
Robert Plant would get too
Yeah.
flamboyant
Yeah, I
sometimes, or
know.
messing around,
Yeah.
or too improvising.
And
too
sometimes
much.
he just couldn't hit the notes, and you go, and
Well,
it's not like he tries like a different approach. It's just like,
yeah, well, that's the
he's
thing with
just
Freddie
struggling.
Mercury.
Yeah,
Freddie Mercury is, I mean, amazing voice, but he did have some damage to his
yeah,
vocal
sure,
cords.
absolutely.
And a lot of that was because of whether it was him taking the steps to have the right care for his vocal cords.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Whereas Robert Plant, I mean, I would say, Led Zeppelin is one of the absolute like quintessential classic rock bands.
Oh, I totally feel that. I just
their output, but not their image. I was, as I get older, I kind of get over their image. Like, okay, guys, like, remember what was it with them smashing the guitars with the Who? It's like, oh, cool, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
you got the money to smash a guitar, and then you could buy a fucking new amazing guitar again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad always.
Yeah, right.
I told you, right?
Yep.
My dad would explode with anger because he goes, first of all, it's not that crazy and that amazing anymore. I mean, the Who did it like in the early 60s, or probably, early 60s.
Mid 60s, yeah.
No, I'm sorry, not early 60s.
Yeah,
but mid to late 60s with Jimi Hendrix and stuff.
Era there, and it's like, well, you got the damn fucking money to replace that.
But at that time, even it was kind of like, oh, that's cool, that's groundbreaking. They did it like at a festival, and
like it's like an art performance, like it's part of the performance,
exactly. And it caused like a shock wave, and people were like, that is so unique and original. But by the time you get to, anywhere later than that, when people just destroy instruments, it's just like, whatever. And like I told you, my dad would always be like, give me the instrument.
If you're going
if you're going to kill it and destroy it.
Yeah, give it to me, man. The little guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
My dad was like, I can't afford to even, you get pissed even if you have a light scratch on that new guitar you buy, or bass guitar or whatever, let alone destroying it. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah,
get it.
it's I don't know, but anyway, yeah. Getting back to like with bands, right, where they have like this legacy band where it's basically just like one or two of the members left.
Exactly.
Again, with Boston, it's more like I don't have anything against Tom Schultz having that band. It's more like I'm just not, because he was such the mastermind initially.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I see
okay,
what you're
fine.
saying. Yeah, he was kind of the in charge. I mean, he really was in charge of everything,
right?
When it came to that band. Yeah. So
and again, if anything, some of it's sad because of the singer. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I can remember the day I heard it on the radio. I can remember where I was. With oh my god.
You mean the singer that committed suicide
for Boston? Yeah, and I remember how he did it. It was with didn't he
the gas?
The gas, yeah, the exhaust,
the carbon monoxide.
Oh man!
Or wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was the gas. Yeah. The tailpipe in a car. Yeah, the exhaust.
Brad Phelps.
Brad
Phelps.
Brad Delp. Delp. Yeah, Delp. Your dad. What, dude? I think you're thinking of. Your dad told me and you.
Yeah.
We were. It was when. So Eric and Sean left the band. So. Eric and Sean, in case anybody doesn't know, Eric was the drummer and the bass, and Sean was the bass player. in our original version of the band. At the time, I think it was still called Flare, not the Lost. It hadn't
Flare,
been called-
as in like a flare you like a
Mhm.
shot in the pan, or a
Yeah.
flare you shoot up in the air, not like
Yes.
flare that you wear like
No.
in what's it called? What's
No.
it? Office Space. Remember?
Yes, where the
Where
Jennifer
she's
Aniston
like,
wears
if you
the
could wear a little bit more,
Nope,
and
nope,
you know,
Flare. Well, because one of the definitions is it's like something unique and original, or something along those lines. I don't remember the exact definition, and so I went, "Oh, well, that's kind of cool." But anyway, yeah.
but regardless, yeah.
Yes.
So they had left the band, the drummer and the bassist.
Yeah, Eric and Sean had left the band, and it was just me and you, and we would at least once a week, maybe even 2 times a week. This was actually during the summer, so we were both off school. I remember this very well.
Mhm.
And I'd come over to your house a lot and hook up my electric guitar, bring my acoustic guitar, and we would literally run through probably a good 20 song set list. And during that, I mean, a lot of it didn't even end up doing anything with it, but we would rehearse and practice a pretty good song set list. And yeah, your dad came in and was like, "Do you guys hear what happened?" and stuff. And he brought up Boston and Brad Delp killing himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember that. I remember him coming in and telling us while we were doing one of those long rehearsals where, whatever.
Yeah. So I was talking about what?
Dream Theater, As I Am. You were saying your brother Zach, who has different musical taste than kind of you and I do, and maybe even Max does, your other brother.
Yeah,
and you were
Max
surprised
actually-
that you were surprised that Zach liked it.
Yeah. Well, I'll say, I mean, Max really is I would say a casual fan of Dream Theater.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
all came
I
from
buy
like a more classic rock background. There's a lot of
Sure.
that, especially coming from like the drummer, Portnoy, Mike Portnoy.
Yeah.
He had a mixture of like, sometimes he would try to refocus on, okay, let's not get too crazy.
Yeah.
Even though we could get crazy.
Did he really?
I always felt like he was the one.
Oh,
who
I never
kinda
knew that.
Yeah, he from my impression and from interviews and stuff, he seemed to be the one that had more of the classic rock background compared to, John Mayung was like a jazz influenced guy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
The bassist, and then
I can get kind of what you're saying because some of the stuff that they did after Mike Portnoy left was too much.
Yeah,
Too far gone the other way.
Right, where it's just too.
It's not even listenable. Some of the stuff you go.
You don't have, music can be music to anybody. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Exactly.
As far as,
I'm sure there's people that love the things,
Right.
the albums I'm talking
Right.
about, but for me, it's just they're unlistened. I mean, some of the stuff. I mean, it's what's the one? I think it came out right after Mike Portnoy left, called
You wait. Oh,
double album. I mean, it was so over the top. It was.
I
so
think it was
bloated.
called Dream Theater. It was like a self-titled album, or is it the one where it's
it's the
guy
other one with the guy with on a string or
and he's on like a unicycle.
Yes, exactly. I heard that
Yeah.
it's one of the worst albums. I've listened to some of the songs. They're not that very good. But I've heard that album is super bloated and just loaded with just kind of just music for, riffs and stuff and music for just the sake of recording music, but there's no real
And being a
anything.
virtuoso.
Yeah.
Because
nothing to
all
it,
of them, not like Portnoy wasn't, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that he had a taste. He had an approach.
Yes, exactly.
Where he still had those roots in whatever you want to say about it, but like, you know, some of the metal bands of the 70s or 80s, like where you had to have, you know, he was focused on a foundation, I think, that they lost.
Yeah, I think
when he left.
Yeah, I also think with him, he didn't always have always a problem with writing a song that might have been not simpler, but maybe a little shorter, gets to the point quicker, stuff that's maybe a little more interesting, digestible.
Right. And I mean, I think there's a reason why. I mean, it's basically common knowledge for people who followed them that, he was the one who wanted to take a break. I mean, he was just like,
he said, we're burned out.
Let's not just be a machine here. Let's actually just
exactly,
slow down and get some inspiration, some genuine inspiration.
Yeah. It's a shame they didn't go that route, because I swear that most of the stuff they came out with after Mike Portnoy left has always been lesser and weaker. And, my favorite album that they came out with in the last several years without Mike Portnoy is the one that we actually went to see the actual tour. Distance. It's called Distance Over Time.
Right.
It had like the single Untethered Angel. A song I love from that album, which I don't think was released as any kind of single, was called Barstool Warrior. It's a great song. You might not even remember it. I downloaded the whole album.
Okay. And we listened to the whole album before we
as we were driving up to
now
they played select songs in the first act, and then they took a break and came back on to perform, as the entirety of Scenes from a Memory Part 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's just amazing.
Or Metropolis, whatever. Metropolis Part 2.
And I'll be frank, I probably drank a little too much in the sense that I almost like am kicking myself, because I think, as it went on, I wasn't able to appreciate
You were fine. The only thing that hurt me, and it wasn't hurt the experience, but at a certain point, I think I've told you, and I hope you don't mind me saying this.
No, please.
Okay. Your mom pulled me aside and was like, Vince, can you keep an eye on Alex for me? Can you,
Jesus.
Can you make sure, when you guys go to the bar, can you grab the bartender and instead of giving him a Jack Daniels with Coke, can you tell her just,
Jesus.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yes, man. Okay. I don't know if I ever told you this.
No.
She said, you were not, I've seen you in much worse states.
Right. I know. That's the thing.
That's the thing. Yeah,
it's a weird thing and my mom has said that, I mean, it was mom, it was her treat for all of us. And
yes, it was very
that's
nice.
Awesome. I mean, a lot of people might think that's odd. Like, what, you went to a concert with your mom? But it's
whatever.
Like, you know what I mean? Whatever the fuck, dude. Like, we had a good time.
We did have a great time.
Yeah. I mean, dude, but, like when we ran down the stairs and we were, you thought that Petrucci waved to you.
Yes.
I know. No,
that's in my own delusional head.
That's a little bit of a joke between me and Vince here, because I said the same thing about I saw John Carpenter in a concert.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I swear, dude, we locked eyes, man.
I know. I mean, I swear to
we were close though. I mean, I will say.
Well, you were probably closer than we were.
Oh,
by a long shot.
We were right there.
I'm sure.
So we locked eyes, man. I swear.
but that was the only thing that kind of made me a little like.
Well, I'm sorry about that, man.
No, it's fine. Don't be sorry.
I guess I was really excited, and then
me too.
Guess you know, I mean, everybody has moments, you know,
Yes.
whatever you want to feel with alcohol or
Yeah.
kind of stuff like that.
See, I was okay with it. I knew you were enjoying yourself, and
yeah, I was right.
and
So
I was fine with. But when like your mom started to ask me, like, Vince, can you help, stop him? And I'm like, sure. And then one of the most awkward conversations was, I think you said, get me a Jack and Coke or something. And I'm like, I actually snuck over to the bartender. I'm like, is there any way we could give like almost
okay.
no Jack Daniels in that Coke, or
well,
Diet Coke or what?
let's broadcast this to the world because
Well,
I am out of control.
No, you're not.
No, but
it's interesting.
People, you know, it doesn't have to mean anything beyond just they're having fun. And sometimes when you have a lot of alcohol, you then you're not aware of, well, let's just have some more. You know what I'm trying to say?
I know.
It doesn't
Well, it
have
starts
to mean like,
you get to a point where you get like maybe a buzz where if you were in a normal state of mind, you might go, okay, I'm feeling good. Let's not overdo it. But in that state, your mind is already distorted and your thought process is already kind of slightly distorted.
Right.
So then you start to go, well, I'm feeling fucking great. I want to keep this feeling going, baby.
This train going.
Yeah, let's do this, motherfucker. So then you just keep piling on, and then you get to a point where it becomes, too much, and then you just feel sick and all that stuff.
I mean, it's always going to be something for an individual to say.
Exactly.
I think I was a little out of control of myself.
Yes, exactly.
I mean? That's a weird thing in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's the elderly and they are having a stroke, and they get angry with you, it's you've had too much alcohol, and then you get angry with people because they're like, "Whoa, you got to slow down, man." And you're like, I'm fine.
Because you're feeling great. You're feeling invincible.
Right. Or you're just not aware of your condition.
Exactly. In your mind, you go, I feel great right now. And you guys are crazy. You're overreacting to me.
Right. I mean, and this isn't to say anything about, Alcoholics Anonymous or whatever, or any kind of addiction theories that people have or whatever works for them.
Sure.
But it is interesting because it's a thing where, again, you have a stroke. Well, you might end up being out of total control of yourself. Sure. You have too much of a substance. You might also then again be too out of control of yourself.
Of course.
Like you can't, you don't have that self-perception enough.
Yeah, you don't have the control, and
that's kind of scary. Not only for yourself once you realize maybe afterwards, because people, even like with the elderly, they'll have strokes and then they kind of come back from it. And it's like, whoa, I wasn't myself, or I was kind of out of control. I mean, it's
exactly.
it just, in some ways, it speaks to the fragility of human perception.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting really philosophical here, but it's just, I know what you mean. It's just something else. It's like you were saying with your episodes. That you would have, and I had the episodes with the anger and the frustration.
Oh yeah,
where it's like you're like, okay, oh man, this is happening, and shit, I don't want to deal with this, or what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Just, I mean, the human brain is amazing, but also just there's so much that's a mystery.
Yes. Well, I mean, the human
things.
Yeah, the human brain is what separates us from animals and mammals and stuff like that. The mind, you know what I mean? And being able to have memories and emotions and think and feel and stuff like that. Not that animals don't either.
Right. Definitely.
But it is separate. It does separate us, that we're able to talk, speak, communicate, language, all that stuff, which is very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one thing I'll say too here is like, one of the most emotional animals in the world is the elephant.
Yes, I've heard
And-
that, but yeah.
And they have the one of the largest hippocampuses. It's like a part of the brain.
Okay.
That's pretty central. I think it's like near the middle of the brain. And relation to the rest of the brain, for them, it is like one of the largest.
Okay.
And they really get emotional. That's why they talk about. Did you ever see Lion King? Right.
Oh yeah, the Disney cartoon.
Right.
Yeah.
So you remember the elephant graveyard? Remember they're like, talking about it, and the hyenas like chasing them
Yeah.
through the elephant graveyard.
Yeah.
Well, there's kind of a reason for that, which is that what ends up happening is elephants with the hippocampus, they are very emotional,
Okay.
which can speak to a certain, they say there's certain kinds of intelligences. So
Sure.
there's,
Yeah.
there might be analytical intelligence.
Yeah.
There might be memory intelligence. You're
Mhm.
very, able to remember things and retain it. Or sometimes emotional intelligence, in that you have a stronger connection to events and other people and their body language. And, that develops a kind of memory there. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So the reason why there's elephant graveyards, to my understanding, is that because the elephants, if they think they're sick or they're going to die, they'll go back to the last ancestor that died and lay down and die.
Are you serious?
I'm
I've never
pretty
heard
sure,
that.
I'm pretty sure, man. Yeah. They'll even herds of elephants, because the herds are run
It's a
by
herd. I mean, the animal is known to flock with like, what am I trying to say?
like a matriarch.
Well, they are known to travel and be a part of a community. They're not,
Right.
they're not a solo animal.
Yeah, the bulls, the males, the alpha males will go off and live on their own until they want to mate.
Yes.
But the herds are run by a alpha matriarch.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of times they make these pilgrimages, a pilgrimage, whatever, however you say
Yeah,
it.
they make a journey to somewhere.
A journey to, one of these resting sites of one of their ancestors.
Really? Okay.
There's actually a story of, and real quick too, they'll actually pick up the bones with their
the bones of what?
of their ancestors
who have died.
Right. So they'll go visit, and again, like I'm saying, a lot of them go to die there, kind of.
That's really interesting. Okay.
And they'll start picking up the bones with their trunks.
Okay.
And they'll start making unique sounds that they usually don't make any other time, which says to a lot of researchers that it's like a mourning, or like it's a ceremony,
or
like
a moaning, or a crying, or sadness.
Right. In a ceremony, it's a reverence for their ancestors.
Oh.
And there's a story of an African woman who was doing some kind of errand, and I mean out in the middle of whatever, the boonies of the savannah.
Mm-hmm.
And she decided to take a nap under a tree to get out of the heat. And she said that when she woke up, and I think this has happened in other cases too,
Okay.
even with other animals, not even just humans, and not even just other elephants, like just other animals.
Okay.
She slowly woke up, and there was like a circle of elephants standing above her, and they were doing this weird behavior. They were like in a trance. The idea is they thought she was dead. So
Oh.
the woman was freaked out, like, and she didn't move. She
Mhm.
just slowly opened her eyes a little bit,
Mhm.
and she's like, "Oh my god!" And the elephants start doing this swaying thing, like I said, and they start making certain specific sounds, and then eventually they start putting these like these fronds, like you know what I mean, fronds, as in like
Franz.
the fern like leaves.
Okay, so leaves
They-
over,
Yeah, they were putting leaves over her.
essentially burying her.
Yeah, yeah. Like
That's-
literally, she just didn't move.
She just fell asleep.
She, well, no, what I'm saying is like once she woke up and she saw
Yeah.
these elephants,
No, I get that.
she
But
didn't
yeah.
move. So she just stayed still
Oh, I see what you're saying. She woke up from a nap or sleeping.
from a nap under a tree, and all
Okay,
these
and
elephants
let the elephants do their thing.
were doing their thing. Like they're like this other animal has died,
That's crazy.
in acting in a way as if it was one of their own.
Yeah.
And they say it's because their hippocampus, hippo as in like the animal hippo,
Okay.
and then campus, CAMP.
U.S.
I think so.
or
You'd
AS?
have to look it up.
Okay, but no, I'm fascinated. What do you mean? So okay, so they, even though it was a human being, they thought they treated her as if they were it was one of their own.
One of their own, or just the fact that this is another animal in our environment that has
Yes.
died.
And they wanted to, yeah.
To cover her up. So they covered her up with the leaves, like the some of those big leaves that you
I
see.
know. I know now. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, and she just stayed still.
And that
And
part
she-
of the mind, I don't mean to interrupt you. What do you
Right, the brain-
what is that? That's empathy, or what is that? Compassion.
Again, yeah, the hippocampus is supposed to be a part of the I think it might be a gland,
Okay.
kind of like the pineal gland or the
Okay.
pituitary. The pituitary
Gotcha.
controls your growth
Okay.
as you grow up. Pineal is more related to your sense of time. And then the hippocampus is another gland, I believe,
Mhm.
and that is usually considered to be connected to emotion.
Oh, I see.
And so, yeah, they get very emotional. They're very sensitive. They have a sense of, again, they
Yeah.
recognize, it's like they really recognize death more than so many other animals except us. Probably, you know what I'm saying? Like it's amazing.
Yeah, I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but the only thing I can think of is like dolphins are supposed to be very
Oh yeah. Yeah.
very connected to that kind of stuff, emotions, and they say they communicate with each other, but we don't really even have a full understanding of it. But with their noises and stuff, and that singing
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And sound actually, depending on the frequency, sound actually
Sure.
can travel better underwater than through the air.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, large whales, like
Okay.
the blue whale.
Yeah.
I mean, they can literally talk to other blue whales
That's so crazy.
dozens of miles away, dude. Dozens of miles.
It's fascinating.
Because the density of the water actually, depending on the frequency again. So
Sure.
if they're really, of course, they're so big, they can produce these low.
Can produce very
sounds.
loud,
Very
vibration
loud and low.
noise. Yeah.
Right. Elephants too.
Okay.
They can produce such a low frequency that it actually goes through the ground, and they can talk to other elephants up to 10 or so miles away.
That's fascinating. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's the medium that the sound is going through. Air with us, that's why you can yell to somebody, across a field and they can barely hear you. But if you were in the water and you could do it loud enough, but also at a certain frequency, they hear it fine. No problem.
Yeah.
It's really something else. But yeah, elephants and dolphins are weird because they're very sexual, actually.
Really? I've never heard that.
Yes, they're very sexual. They're kind of there's tons of
they're
story-
mammals.
they're mammals, but they're incredibly intelligent.
I know.
And, some people would say that intelligence in a certain sense can, what can come with it is perversion or just erratic behavior.
Yeah, intelligence doesn't always mean something good or deep or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a reason chimpanzees are considered, genetically the closest to us, but they're also the ones that you don't want to get around with. I mean, you can't get next to them because you don't know what's going to fucking happen.
I was gonna say sometimes it's fascinating with Jesus Christ, I can't even say the word.
Chimpanzees.
Thanks. But yes, they can be like actually very loving and very much like, hey, we're on the same side, we're equals, we're we're friends and part of the same family. But I've also heard of horror stories where they just go, I'm pissed off, or you fucked with me, and I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, and
or I'm
so
gonna destroy you.
Right.
They say they are like 5 times stronger than a human sometimes, and they can look very like, oh, I'm certainly stronger than you, and then they do crazy stuff.
Yeah,
they destroy people.
What's fascinating, actually, the next closest to us is supposed to be the gorilla. And actually, remember Harambe?
That makes sense.
Remember that whole thing with Harambe?
Who?
It was a gorilla. I can't remember where it was. It was somewhere, I think, in the U.S.
Okay.
It was the one where the kid, the mother was a freaking jackass and it didn't realize her kid had crawled over the fence.
Oh yeah, what was the deal with that?
He fell into the moat. And the silverback, like basically the rooster of like the pack of with the gorillas, he came over and he just was kind of checking him out because the child was actually unconscious for a few minutes.
Yes.
And then the child woke up and started crying, and the mother, who had caused this whole mess because of being negligent, is saying, just stay down, honey, stay down. And the kid starts crying, and the gorilla is just like checking him out, looking at his clothing. And people say that there's a lot of experts that have talked about that and said that they could have de-escalated that without shooting him.
Did they end up shooting him? I don't remember.
They literally ended up shooting him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what happened to the kid?
Kid was fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did knock himself out when he fell, but he fell into a moat with a little bit of water.
Okay.
So he was okay. But the gorilla was actually, a lot of people say, was behaving as if he was protecting like one of his kids, children, you know what I mean, within the group. And gorillas are fascinating because Sigourney Weaver did a movie, Gorillas in the Mist, back in the late 90s or something.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
And she was playing a naturalist. I can't remember her name. Jane something. And if you know how to behave, there are hardly ever any attacks with gorillas.
Okay.
Even though they're the strongest ape.
I was gonna say, I mean, they can destroy us.
Yeah, but as long as you know how to behave and you act friendly, I mean, you can get right up with them. Whereas chimpanzees, they're so much more warlike.
Okay.
And a lot of it is because I think they have a lot more males within a group, whereas a gorilla, I'm trying to think, troop. They call it a troop, I think.
Is that what they call it?
I think so. And
that's like the group of them together?
Right, a troop, just like a herd, a troop, whatever, a school of fish.
A school, I was going to say a school,
right.
Of fish.
So, gorillas are really something else because that's crazy, incredibly intelligent. They're like the exception in a sense because yeah, they're incredibly intelligent, incredibly strong, but as long as you know what to do, they probably aren't going to hurt you at all.
That's
Whereas
interesting. Okay.
chimpanzees are just psycho.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you mean
It's
in other
so
words, they can go from one extreme to another.
yeah, right, right. And it's just yeah. So with the intelligence thing, it's just interesting. It's yeah, gorillas are much more family oriented, I
Okay.
think, in some
Okay.
sense. And that's yeah, it's just really interesting. Gorillas,
It's fascinating.
yeah, I know. I think there's a reason why Tarzan's a thing
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be able to be raised by chimpanzees, but maybe
No.
you know what I'm saying. Though I know it's still fiction, but
I know.
you know, so it's really something else.
Did you hear about Brendan Fraser?
With the whale,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I don't know if I can get through that movie.
Because you don't like it, or you
Oh
think it
no,
might be
no,
too
no. I
tough?
mean, I just think it's might be where I'm at in my life. It might be a little too heavy. I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay. I mean, it has the idea that he's dying from overeating and he's
yeah.
obese. He
And he
can't.
has an adoptive daughter.
I don't know if it's adoptive or it's
Well, she
is.
looked Asian. I mean, who
Oh
knows?
no, that I think is his caretaker. He can't do certain things
Oh,
without help.
and so she's just trying to tell him how it is.
She's like a friendly caretaker. You mean from
Uh-huh.
the trailer where she like
Yeah.
tickles him?
No, I saw it where literally she's like standing up above him and she's like, I can't take this anymore. Or
Yes,
like, what are you
exactly.
doing? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So but yeah, it looks very good. I can see what you're saying though. It looks really
Yeah, no,
sad.
no, not about the quality of it. Just,
No, it looks sad.
yeah, I've heard it's, people have said it's well done, but it's well done being rough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's essentially he's going to. I think the doctors are like, you're literally dying, and I think the idea of the movie is he eats himself to death while he's trying to also reconcile and spend time with his daughter and give her talk to her and spend time with her about and give her advice before he dies.
But I will say you've heard of all this ridiculous backlash to that movie, right?
Oh please, what is it, fat phobia? Oh
Exactly.
please, go fuck yourself.
You know,
Give me
the
a
whale.
break.
Oh, you mean like I'm a whale?
Oh, for God's
Don't
sake, guys.
I'm totally healthy the way I am.
Well, we were talking about
Yeah, we were talking about it
there's
before, but
nothing with accepting. Well, I said this before, but there's nothing wrong with accepting different body shapes and different body types and stuff like that. But when you openly promote someone who's obese, I mean, they are, eating themselves to death, and you think it's okay to say there's nothing wrong with this.
there's
There's nothing wrong with this. We're just
nothing.
going to promote it because this is body positivity. Well, you know what? You're not in touch with reality.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with going, well, of course, that, for years, especially for women, there's been this image of you need to be like bone skinny, almost ribs shown. Like you have to be really skinny to be like the ideal body type for a female. Let's just say a female. I don't know. The tide has changed, and now it's like, yeah, we can promote bodies that have a little more weight to them, and a little
Right, a little
different.
more weight.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's been that ebb and flow,
Nothing
but
wrong
this
with
is
that.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is a level of just,
Mhm.
you are
But you,
literally lying to these people or
yes,
helping in their delusion that,
exactly,
and
their
no
demise.
problem.
Yeah, I mean, when you go, oh, it's okay to be 300 pounds overweight. Well, no, it's not okay.
Yeah.
You are dying. You are killing yourself slowly.
Your pancreas,
Yeah, I mean, you're just killing yourself. Human bodies are not meant to be 400 pounds, 300 pounds, all that stuff.
yeah.
Nothing wrong, like I said, with promoting a more positive image of not being bone skinny, where you're like your bones are showing.
Right. No, like I said, I was talking to you with the Japanese, some of these Japanese models are,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally there's like a fetish of them being underweight.
Yes, which I mean that's an image that's okay to change and show that it's okay. Especially with these women and stuff and these little girls who see these kind of things forced down their throat. It's
That's
okay
an
to
option
go.
for a lifestyle. Oh, okay. I can
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
exactly. I mean,
Okay.
it's okay that they understand that it's okay to be a normal weight or whatever, but when you start promoting that it's okay to be 400 pounds, 300 pounds,
Or 80 pounds.
yes,
I
there's
mean,
the two
one way or the
extremes.
other. I mean, it's, yeah.
Exactly. um you have a problem, and then it's like
Yeah.
you say that and you go, you're fat phobic. Well, no, I'm not fat phobic. I'm being honest and realistic.
Right.
There's
And the
no
thing,
yeah.
yeah. Well, the thing I was going to say too is sometimes I get annoyed with the argument like, well, you have a big platform, so you shouldn't say certain things.
No,
I'm
fuck
not
that.
saying you should legally not be able to say those things,
Fuck
but
that.
I'm still going to say, as somebody else in our society, in a free associating society,
Yeah,
that maybe you shouldn't. But I'm not going to say you can't. I'm not going to try to legislate you can't.
And are
I'm
you going
just
to
saying
pick
as
at
like a
that person?
disclaimer.
Are you going to protest that person because they
Yeah.
say it?
Yeah, I mean, again, just as a disclaimer, it's
No, I
not
get it.
trying to control you. I'm just trying to say, come on, man.
Yeah.
You probably it's probably not good. Probably not good. I mean, again, so many things from, looking back as a kid. I mean, again, my sister is so much younger than me, Isabella.
Mm-hmm.
And,
How old is she?
She'll be turning 20 this year.
Okay. So what were you going to say though?
Well, just you can get some perspective. I mean, your sister, right? She's 18, 17, 18.
Samantha is
No, Isabel.
Isabel is actually 16 going on 17.
Okay. I always thought, okay.
I thought they were closer too, but not really. Samantha's probably closer to your sister, Isabel.
But even though they're, a girl, I mean, you can sometimes see some of the thinking.
Yes.
There's that universal thinking about, oh man, I need to keep up appearances, or I'm worried about what other people think about me, or
sure.
There's some universal things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, my sister has gone through some issues with body image.
Yeah.
And I've tried to give her some perspective from my position, because as a guy, a lot of times I could feel I actually could kind of feel lonely, because it always seemed like it was a girl's issue. The girls had the big issue with body image, and they got to be really thin and stuff. And so as a guy, it was weird for me.
No, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Well,
it's this whole thing too of, and only the last several years now, they've been more accepting of it, but, guys are not supposed to be emotional. They're not supposed to show weakness. They're not supposed to, have these kind of problems and issues, whether it's mental or physical. And more and more now, people are becoming more accepting.
Sure.
And you're right. Yeah. So, about the body image thing.
But the critical drinker, I sent you like a video of why does Hollywood hate men, right? He was talking about that.
Yeah, I don't know if I watched that whole video.
Yeah, well, he was talking about, what did happen to like the Clint Eastwood, like stoic man.
That kind of type, yeah.
So, there can be a balance. I think.
Absolutely.
Anybody should be able to express emotion, amongst loved ones or whatever.
Exactly.
Or there shouldn't be anything about. I mean, I've always been very open about my feelings.
Sure.
As a man.
Yeah.
And so, in and of itself,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But also, I just think sometimes there's the reverse, where it's like, well, yeah, what happened to the Clint Eastwoods? Actually, kind of like with what's his name? in The Sopranos. He's like, "What happened to the Gary Coopers?"
Oh, the Gary Cooper. Yeah.
Yeah, what
Tony
happened
says,
to that?
yeah,
You know,
in a therapy session. Yeah.
right. It's like there's almost an aversion to that now, where it's like, okay, well, you could have a mix.
I was
you know
gonna
what I
say
mean?
you're dealing with two extremes.
Yeah.
The extreme masculine image, and then the extreme like feminine kind of almost sissy image. If a guy, says it or does similar stuff that, and really, I think really the area where it really makes sense is in the middle somewhere.
Yeah,
It's in the
and
middle.
also
Yeah.
I think they're, because of how Hollywood is and the world is now, I would also say that you still can have moments where you might play with those extremes.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you
Yeah.
still could have like a Clint Eastwood movie where he says like 5
That's
words
okay.
the whole
That is-
damn fucking movie.
Yes.
Or you know what I'm saying? Like
that's all right.
but there's just that push that there's a push from Hollywood that shifts the cultural zeitgeist in a way where
Yes.
now we're all hypersensitive about it. Like, oh my God, they're so woke, or oh my
Yes.
God, they're so over the top masculine,
Mhm.
anti-feminist, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
It's one way or the other. And it's like
Right.
there's no gray area. There's nowhere to explore. Like, well, maybe it makes sense for that person to be that way.
Well, man, good talking to you.
Good talking to you too, man.